normal growth. And if taxes remain where they are according to current statutes, paying the national debt will probably be about 2.5% of GDP. Also keep in mind there's an inflation issue. As inflation grows, the dollars you're paying are cheaper. So your debt is actually decreasing a little bit. Finally, Uncle Sam right now is financing its debt with very low interest payments because interest rates are low. Will interest rates continue to remain low? Yes, I believe they will, through the remaining portion of this year. After that, all bets are off. What they call the federal funds rate is currently between 0 and 0.25%, a quarter of 1%. That rate is not a natural rate. The natural rate is around 4%. The natural rate for the prime rate, given our current, where we are inflationary-wise and so on, should be roughly about 7%. About 3 plus the Fed funds rate. That's a more natural interest rate. So you can look forward to interest rates rising about a good 3, maybe 4 points over the next 2 years. They have to get back up to that rate. At that point, it becomes more expensive to pay this deficit that we're running up, or rather this national debt. Nonetheless, the national debt payments will be about 2.5 to 3% of GDP. Now, given the size of our GDP, gross domestic product, that's a fairly large number. If we weren't paying that, we could use it for other purposes. But that you have to take as a given. The problem we're facing is that most of this is getting worse and worse. It's not getting better. We need to not get rid of the national debt. We need to control the deficit, and then we can start to chip away at the deficit. Remember, when Clinton left office, before the Bush administration, we did not have a deficit. We were running a surplus. Today we're running a major deficit. That deficit is attributable to the war, pure and simple. What's going to happen? My prediction is the war will continue to be funded probably through the first term of the current administration. Whether it'll be funded into the second term of the current administration or, from my viewpoint, God forbid, we have a different kind of administration. If the Republicans get in, we will be funding the war for another 8 to 12 years. Yeah, I know. You might want to think about working for the Democratic Party. I realize you all have some issues. The Democrats may have some issues with you over your stance, but my viewpoint is approach it strictly from you can't afford it. We cannot afford it. Where are you going to cut? There's been a lot of talk about China, who holds a chunk of our debt, dumping it. Well, you can relax. They're not going to do it. First of all, we're their best trading partner. You don't shoot your best trading partner in the foot. Second, they're holding these things. If you want to sell a large quantity of a product and you take it to the marketplace, what can you expect to happen? The prices will fall. They would take a 25 to 30% beating if they tried to dump their securities. They would hurt us, no question about it. The interest rates would go up. It would not be a good thing. It would get them off our back, but maybe we think twice about buying Chinese products. The difficulty comes, for every action there's a reaction. Difficulty comes, we don't produce anything anymore. We don't manufacture. Our goal as a country, our survival as a country, is determined by what we can innovate. We do technology. We do innovation. We developed the computer chip. It wasn't developed in China. It wasn't developed in Taiwan. It wasn't developed in Israel. It was developed here. That's what we're best at. We need to put much more money into education. That's why I was glad to see the tax pass yesterday. We need to prepare the country for what we do best. And believe me, for those of you from Michigan, accept my apology, we do not make cars the best. We should be down to one domestic car manufacturer. Not because I like Ford, I don't own a Ford, well I do own a Ford, I own a Ford truck as a matter of fact. But that's the only, of the three companies, that's the only one that has proven that they can survive. Chrysler, I think, is the walking dead. And unfortunately, folks, General Motors is not too far behind. Yes, dear time, I see that. That's why I take Diane along with me, folks. You have my views?
It will give you 5 more minutes.
1 more.
Now, let me take questions. Yes, sir.
Yes, you hit on it right there. When the, actually the biggest thing that we produce in this country is consumption. Where do you invest?
Where do you invest?
We don't produce anything, all we do is produce consumption.
No, that's not true. That's not true. That's a misnomer. We produce a lot of things besides McDonald's hamburgers. What we produce is innovation. We develop, and we could develop a lot more in high technology. Let me give you an example, and I got this one from Keith. What's Keith's last name?
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. I don't know if it's valid, I don't know, I haven't proven out the technology, but Keith pointed out to me that, hey, we have these big piles of left over from the phosphate mining. Gypsum stacks. In gypsum stacks is a lot of silicon. Silicon is the raw material for solar cells. Solar cells are clean energy. Now, there are going to be people telling you we are an oil-based economy. We need fossil fuels. This is a whole lot of malarkey. We do need fossil fuels. We do need oil. No question, we are not going to be oil-free probably ever because it's a great lubricant. Burning it to heat homes is a total waste of energy and the carbon footprint is way too high. So, we could, Florida could, if there's really that much silicon in those gypsum stacks, which are a hazard, and somebody pointed out to me, but they're radioactive. I know that there's something about some radioactivity involved, but there's radioactivity in granite that you put in your house on your table. So, the question is the problem doable? I don't know, I never did a cost-benefit study. I didn't thought about it. I have thought about, if you know anything about mining, know that in gold mines, there are a lot of tailings that have been discarded. There is a lot of valuable metals in those tailings, and at the time, nobody knew how to get out. We now have the technology to remove those metals and utilize them. We are now utilizing and recycling computers because there is a lot of gold and there's a lot of other valuable minerals found in used computers. Unfortunately, we have a labor cost that's too high for much of the work that people want to do, or you say we only do consumption. We have a wage base that does not permit manufacturing when compared to the wage bases of foreign countries. Now, we have something working in our favor. In the old days, about 3 years ago, if you saw all the computer manufacturers, all the people who manufacture products, if you called for support, guess what? They had an Indian accent.